Welcome to Blink 155, the only Blink 182 podcast with a compilation of songs coming soon. Maybe it's already sold out. I don't know. Josiah, you run all of our merchandise like you're a cam girl, and I can't even.
I think that's
keep track
actually
of
almost
things.
that's insulting to cam girls because I feel like they are very organized and put together. Basically, what I do is I say, if you want to buy this, email us,
Which is
and then I'll
weird,
send
man.
you
I don't know
the
that
cost.
I would email. It's such a you understand it's 2019 and there are like multiple competing free platforms designed.
I feel like
to
they're not free, Sam. That's the thing is I feel like you love getting microcharges taken off of each interaction or transaction.
Well, because I think
like
it's like peak capitalism.
I think you just love tech. No,
yeah.
It's also because, as I was just saying to you before we started, I'm not used to people actually wanting to buy something I put out. So I assume if I just say, yeah, email me and buy this, then I'll get like 4 emails and it'll be easy to keep track of. But,
how many people do you think want to buy these things, but they don't do it because they like just don't want to email you directly, which feels like very intimate.
That makes the drop even sicker because it's sort of there's a barrier for entry. You have to put a little bit of effort into it. You can't just go on Big Cartel or whatever. I mean, you're going to support a company called Big Cartel. Think of how corrupt that sounds. That name.
That is fair, actually. Why did all punk bands start setting up stores on that website? It's not right. It's just not right at all.
Even we're working on some shirts that are also taking forever because they're too sick to just be done quickly.
That's the rule of shirts in general.
Yeah. Oh, the fan has started on my computer. Very good.
all those free punk lyrics orders coming in, man. Just whirring away.
But I was looking into like shirt options, and there's that website Threadless.com that used to be where you could get like a blue shirt of a robot fucking an octopus.
Yeah, but
like the favorite website of
wearing a Rebel Alliance shirt. Yeah,
it's the favorite website of British guys named Barry. But they've changed it now so that anyone can upload a design. And I was like, oh shit, well maybe I'll just do that instead, and then I can make shirts of every dumb idea I get. And then I found out the creators only get $1 per shirt sold on Threadless.
Ooh, amazing. Respect Threadless.
So invest in Threadless, Sam.
Yeah, that's my people. Just making money off the backs of artists. Oh boy. My palms are getting sweaty. I love it. I'm salivating.
Speaking of your people, this is the last time we're ever going to talk about this on here, but you did have a little bit of a nice couple weeks there on Bloor Street, didn't you?
Oh, I've just been up and down Bloor Street every night, all night, no sleep till Bloor, as we say here in Toronto now. Yeah, man, it's been really nice. It's we did the joke intro to the last episode where it was just hedging because we had no idea what was going to happen. But the official basketball team of the pod, the Toronto Raptors, are NBA champions, and it's just been a spectacular couple of days. And it's one of the sickest things has been like not only getting to share it with like my wife who's like the day one Raptors fan and like got me into it and like all of my friends.
Well, actually I'm the day one Raptors fan, but
sorry, my bad. So you got Ashley into it and then Ashley got me into it. And so it's been like this incredible thing for us to get to share and to get to share with all of our friends. And like I watched, a game with my family on Mother's Day when I was out at my parents' house. And then to have this added layer of because it has I'm sure to the sort of great annoyance of people who listen to this podcast who couldn't give less of a shit about sports and hate basketball and hate people talking about sports. It's become this thing that all these other people sort of in the nation were kind of into. And maybe if you're like an ambivalent fan, casual viewer, I think like maybe provided like a rooting interest for a handful of people. And so it was just like so neat to get messages about it and feel like, because what I love about those things is it's the same thing that that I like about punk when I was like a kid, and it was like, oh, you get to feel connected to these people because you've all heard the same Minor Threat song and been mad at your friends who started smoking weed.
I feel that way, but I feel it's like punk too, in that I feel like there's not enough snobs and gatekeepers, as I've already said. There could always be
That's
more,
your big
just
concern.
like in punk. Yeah,
but I just love the way it shrinks the world. It gives you something in common with all of these people, and the feeling of like just wandering down the street at 4 a.m. in Toronto, like high-fiving people and like yelling with people, and just like having this incredible.
That sounds like a
communal
nightmare.
I know. You would have hated it.
Yeah.
But it was,
imagine some guy, like, just like some antisocial guy who just like makes I don't know, like digital black metal on Bandcamp, and he's just coming home from his dishwashing shift, and he's like just trying to keep his head down. Just like I'm picturing a specific person that I know, but just like they moved to Toronto and they're just like they're extremely online. They're just like trying to have a smoke while they get off their shift because it's been such a fucking long night serving all these normies, and then they're walking down Bloor Street like listening to Burzum or something, trying to like be as antisocial as possible, and then all these fucking people are high-fiving nonstop. I mean, that's got to be awful.
If you were listening to Burzum watching like me and my friends have a lovely night, I'm so sorry. I was trying to watch for you.
I was trying to watch the show Chernobyl, and people were honking outside, and I was like, good Lord, we're not even anywhere near Bloor Street. Pieces of shit. I said it weird, Bloor Street.
Calgary must have a Bloor Street, the way that like every city has like a Queen Street or a King Street, like our Main Street.
Yeah, I
bet
really
you've got
want
a
to talk
Bloor somewhere.
in my heart. Yeah, I mean, Bloor is really, since Bloor is every street in Toronto, it's hard to really figure out which one is our Bloor, but there's a few notable streets that I don't really want to mention. I don't want to become like a Calgary BRZ podcast. I don't want to boost Calgary in any way whatsoever.
What is Calgary BRZ?
Oh, that's what they call like the business revitalization zones, I guess. But that's what these like. It was when I worked at Fast Forward, they would always get all excited about the BRZs because they'd be like, "Come to Inglewood, we're gonna open a." They opened a craft nacho restaurant, and they were gonna try to like things like that. Like basically, I think a BRZ is like a tool to work with condo developers to gentrify neighborhoods. It's a gentrification
tool, yeah. Like, hey, this area that used to have, affordable housing for families now has $40 nacho plates,
Exactly. But I want to get back to, the big Raptors celebration. First of all,
yes,
I love the idea that that anyone listening to the podcast is like annoyed by anything and still listening. Like somehow that is just so great.
Maybe it's because I certainly have gone through periods in my life where I felt like the notion of people talking about sports, like when I was in like high school, it's like sports were like antithetical to my very existence, and therefore like people talking about sports grated on me, and I guess I'm still sympathetic to that point of view of just like shut the I think some people think of these sort of like pieces of culture as punk, as Blink-182 as an escape from like. Again, I don't know that who's more mainstream, Blink-182 or the Raptors, but I guess I just have like an ingrained sympathy to that point of view.
Yeah, I know. It's true. I mean, I do too, but I think it's like, to use the parlance of terrible political debate, I think it's a straw man. Because, like you just said, like I can't imagine somebody listening to two white bros on their Blink-182 podcast and be like, "Damn, this is getting too mainstream."
Yeah, this is
it's kind of it's hard
Blink-182 podcast is really You're right.
But the other thing is, I think it's a real testament to like, did anyone die in the parade when there was like shootings and stuff?
There was,
right?
Unfortunately, the parade happened yesterday from when you and I are recording. There was unfortunately a shooting. 4 people were injured, not life-threateningly so. There was also a stabbing at the mall, which may have been unrelated. Toronto gets wild in the summer. So no one was hurt. I mean, you had like 2 million people out in the streets. There were those 2 people got arrested. Otherwise, like for shooting and stabbing, I guess. And otherwise, there were no arrests. Like the night they won, there were no arrests, which was crazy because like I went right down to like Yonge and Dundas.
You tried to get arrested.
Tried to get arrested, man. I was like punching cops, taking shits on cop cars, spray painting ACAB on every building. Yeah, I was jaywalking like crazy. I mean, I was drinking a lot in the street. That was the worst crime that I committed.
That is pure white brave right there.
Oh yeah, I was like buying beers at bars and then taking them out onto the road. Like I was cashing in all of my privilege that night, and all I have to show for it is a real good time.
It's a sort of a testament to how small Canada feels. Because, like, also, I think yesterday or what? I mean, we're giving away what day we're recording, but sometime this week. I like the idea
that that's a secret as well as what song we're doing. Like, I know. Can't talk about the guest, can't talk about the title of the song, and cannot ever admit when we're recording.
But anyways, there was like an active shooter earlier this week in, I think, Dallas. and they didn't end up killing anyone. And I saw people making tons of jokes about that shooting. But then, like...
Oh, is that the guy that everyone's, like, making memes about? Like, because he's decked out in tactical gear, but, like, wearing it all wrong and shit?
Yeah, like he looks like Brace, kind of. Yeah, exactly. But so people were making jokes about that, but then it's like nobody died in Toronto, and also it was during, like, the most hilariously corny, most Canadian sports celebration, but no one in Canada made a single joke about that. And I just thought, that is so Canadian that we're all afraid because we all feel like we know each other too well and we're going to get in trouble.
You don't want to say anything. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, the Prime Minister kept talking. Like, so you had Drake, the Prime Minister, the whole team on stage. 4 people get shot at the back, and they're just like, just keep it cruising, which made sense from, like, a crowd control perspective. But, like, Justin Trudeau's just up there palling around with, Masai Ujiri and Drake and Kawhi and Kyle and all of my best friends. Honestly, Josiah, it's been a great time. And but I mean it too.
Okay.
Like, people who got into this, like, and tweeted at me and stuff. Like, I it's been so sick to experience this together.
So, okay, wait, what? I actually don't know. Are the Golden State Warriors from San Francisco or what city?
They're from Oakland.
Or are they just from California?
They're in Oakland, but next season they move to San Francisco.
And was there any, like, Golden State Warriors fans in Toronto? Because this is the situation I was picturing. Okay. Just bear with me.
Yeah.
You're sort of you're soaking it all in. You're sitting on the patio on Bloor Street.
Okay. Yeah.
You're
next
watching
to the CN Tower. Are you on top of this? Is this like a rooftop experience at the CN Tower?
No, you need to see the street from this picture. So I think
so
you're at the
street
base.
level. Yeah.
You're at the shaft of the CN Tower.
Right. Yeah.
So you're having a Molson Canadian with your boys on the patio,
Yeah.
and you're watching this. Yeah, you're having a moose head because you are into crafties now.
Yeah.
You're sitting on the patio. You got the trad blaring on the stereo, and you're watching as the parade goes by, and you're looking, and you're sort of judging. You're people watching because you're a nice guy, but you're still enough of a prick that you people watch. Other people are your entertainment, and that's understandable. We all do it.
That's a universal human experience, I think.
So you're sitting there and you're watching people walk by and you're sort of judging their apparel as they walk by, celebrating the event. And you see somebody's wearing, let's say they're wearing a Toronto shirt, and you go, okay, cool. Toronto shirt, cool.
Yeah.
Golden State jacket, bad. Toronto shorts, awesome. Oakland,
Jesus Christ.
Oakland starter jersey, bad. And then you see someone walk by and you go, Toronto's vest, tight.
Yeah, that was good.
My mom, she's not a woman anymore. She dresses like a man.
That was good. That was really good. It took me a long time to figure out how you were going to get there, but then once you started naming the items of clothing, I was like, okay, so it's going to be a vest joke, but I don't think I realized it was going to be Tron. Yeah, that was good. That was really good.
It's been a lot of work trying to play with this word in a way that is not playing with it in a bad way.
My thought was that I was just going to, like, try to veer us into, like, a Rocky Horror Picture Show type conversation, and then, like,
right.
If it seemed like that was working, I was just going to cue up the song. I guess we can say the word because it's like it's the title of the song, and as we talk about this later in the episode with our guest, who
don't reveal who the guest
cannot
is.
be revealed, but that this word, I think you and I went into this feeling like this was a full-on slur, and it's more of a, like, outdated word that we just shouldn't use anymore.
Yeah,
right?
but we'll get into that later. But yeah, so
Okay.
the word is Charon's vest, tight.
Tight. Yeah.
I've never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I just
Really?
came across that while I
course
was
you haven't.
researching.
Yeah.
And then I watched a little bit of that video of what is it called, like Transvestite Rock and Roll or some shit. What is
Jesus
the song
Christ.
called?
No,
Like-
it's called Sweet Transvestite. And it
saw it
fucking
and I was like,
rocks. So you're right
oh
about.
my
I can see how you
God.
thought maybe it was called Transvestite Rock and Roll.
every Gen X person who has a Count Chocula ringer tee that has ever said that wearing blackface shouldn't be illegal online. That's what I associate with.
Right. They all have
Rocky
T-shirts
Horror
of
Picture Show.
Frankenfurter, like Tim Curry sort of doing the thing with his lips.
Yeah, and then they have like a Che Guevara bag.
Yeah.
And a closet full of Orange Crush T-shirts. And they're all like, I think that not doing blackface is just as racist as doing blackface. I mean, that's just sort of the generation that I associate with Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I mean,
and I'm
I
not
think
willing
that's
to
fair.
ever be proven wrong.
You know
So-
what? I think that realistically, like, that is the generation for which this was the midnight movie for those blackface Che's.
the real freedom fighters.
Yeah. Because I think by the time, like, I started getting into, like, any, like, campy midnight stuff, it was, like, that was already felt like it was kind of a holdover a little bit. Like, obviously it's a classic, but it's it's less of, like, the thing for the kids. For a second, you wouldn't have seen this, but I remember for a while they were trying to make Repo, the genetic opera, like, a thing. And that was not great, but they would scream
Sorry,
at
what were
it.
those words you just said? What is that? What did you just say?
Repo, either or the, I'm fucking up the title, but Repo, the Genetic Opera. And it had Paris Hilton in it, and it had Anthony Stewart Head, who played Giles on Buffy, who's also quite an accomplished stage actor and musical theater performer. Apparently was quite wonderful as Frankenfurter in a West End performance of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
This is the
And,
problem with modern life is everything's all mixed up. Like, you're the jock, but you're also a goddamn nerd.
Yeah.
And then I'm just over
Yeah.
here confused. Well, I don't even have an identity anymore because you've taken them all.
I'm like an identity hoarder. Doesn't that sort of make sense though? Because given that like my role is also like I do have a bit of this like sort of tragic people pleaser inside of me, that the only way for me to sort of at least attempt to be all things to all people is to have like a serviceable knowledge of like a little and sort of interest in
Right.
both like the theatrical work of Anthony Stewart Head and the performance of the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah. And my main thing is just that I'm drooling all the time.
yeah, that's right. You know what I realized that we cruised by, like we kind of talked about free punk lyrics and then like transitioned really hard into like 15 minutes of Raptor chatter. So like we just sort of started joking about the comp's release, like everyone had already seen it on the internet. But you announced a few days ago the release of the Free Punk Lyrics compilation, which we've been teasing. You put up this pre-order, but so all that information is on the Blink-155 Facebook page, which we never use, the unofficial Facebook page, which is more active, the Twitter, the Instagram, but it's like
a mess.
It's I don't know. I don't know where you find this shit. But the point is,
You've let me be in charge of too many things, and now just like in real life, it's all just like duct taped together and falling apart, and there's somehow oil is leaking from our Twitter page, and like it's just
you're accepting
it's just
orders for like a limited number of copies of something via just like a Gmail account.
Yeah, and I realize, I mean,
It's
that's
like your premium Snapchat is next, you know?
we should do that, I think.
We should actually have a premium Snapchat that we both have access to where we post our nudes.
Yeah.
If you could tweet at us and let us know if you would give us $5 a month on top of whatever
I'm
you
not
already
showing
spend on
anyone my nudes.
Patreon. I'll show people my nudes for $5 a month.
You'll pay them, I think.
Yeah, that's it. Please let me enact this very, very specific fetish that I have, which is I start a Blink-182 podcast. Raptors win the finals, and then I pay you to look at my dick.
I just want to talk a little bit more about how, like, for some reason, the bias that I will never be able to let go of is just how annoying and bad Gen Xers are.
They are the worst generation. Like, boomers are bad. Like, boomers are so bad.
But
I
they're
think
at least good at being bad.
Exactly, and they're upfront about their badness. Like, boomers were like... I feel like boomers make no apologies about their just, like, absolute shittiness. And certainly they, like, critique other generations in a way that we feel is unfair. But I often feel like if you kind of like accost them about, you know, those hypocrisies, they just sort of own up to it, but they don't care. And that's fine. Gen X, like actually, Gen X is bad the way hippies were bad. In that I think like Gen X really thought they were and are raging against something, but they're the worst generation.
Yeah, I watched this film called Mr. Fish, Cartooning from the Deep End. It was through like a film festival here, and it's like accidentally the most perfect portrait of Gen X impotence. Like, it's just unbelievable. It's about this guy who's the ultimate Gen Xer. I feel like he like hates like McDonald's and the Kardashians, or he's like the absolute what's a Kardashian type of guy.
Yeah.
But he's also a political cartoonist. And he refuses to sell out, aka refuses to like get any semblance of a job whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so his poor wife is like working like 3 or 4 jobs around the clock to try to raise their, because they also decided to have kids for some reason, even though he just like wants to draw like a dick, like with the Statue of Liberty behind it or whatever, like every day. Yeah, he refused to get a real job, cool. So his wife is like dying trying to raise their family, and basically the whole documentary is trying to pose it as like, yeah, something changed, like this guy's just too honest, because also like he's a white guy, but his comics will sometimes have like the hard R N word in them because they're trying to show like how Drumpf is bad or whatever. But it's like the most insane documentary I've ever seen. It's so infuriating, but it's actually kind of good because it accidentally just shows like the real impotence of raging against the machine by drawing a doo-doo cartoon that says the N-word.
Like, one of the problems with Gen X is that they're not like internet native, which I know like we're not 100%, but it's like we're at least like part of this sort of desperate older millennial, demographic that kind of understands the internet enough to like utilize even just things like slang in an appropriate way, which is more often than not exceedingly embarrassing for us. But like we have succeeded in adapting, I think, because of our like just like rigid attention that we pay to the internet, like at the sort of expense of our mental health. Whereas, and then there's like boomers and like old people who like just sort of came to the internet and just like post like sweet, cute, old, dumb things, which is like also amazing. And
or like the AOC memes where she's like a valley girl for some reason.
Right,
like
yeah.
Just like the most sexist thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, so that's like their whole thing is either like dumb evil or dumb sweet, right? But like Gen X has this problem of like still like their identities never got shook the way ours did. Like I think because we got introduced to the internet at such an early time, like the rigidity of being like Propagandy Sam or like the Hand Josiah got fucked with like early on enough that we were able to like, I know, certainly not fully formed and far from perfect, but we were able to like adapt a little bit. Whereas like Gen X just like still thinks that Adbusters rocks.
Yeah, they're like, I think we've learned that like the conversation about selling out is very confusing and murky, and like you have to compromise a little bit if you're going to survive until the revolution comes, at least, and to have the revolution come, you need to like actually do things and not just draw like Donald Trump with a big boner that says like duh. I don't know, like, but whereas honestly, like Gen X is like
a terrible political cartoonist. I'm so sorry to say.
You gotta see this guy's cartoons. Like some of his cartoons are actually funny, but then sometimes he'll do like, I just wrote the N-word over and over again and made it shaped like the American flag to show society or whatever. It's like so bad. But anyways, I think Gen X just really truly believes in not selling out to the point where what they're really doing is just never working and then making their poor wives do all the work because they're all married and they're all extremely sexist in a deeply ingrained way.
You know what, though? Respect to Gen X wives, though. Maybe the only good Gen Xers.
Yeah, that's true, actually. The ones who are raising their little Greg Proops-looking ass husbands.
Yeah, every one of your kids is named Holden, but that's fine. So the song Transvestite by the band Blink-182, Josiah, why don't you just talk about it? I'll just kind of hang out. I just don't want to.
Yeah, I'll just read some of the stuff you were DMing me. So you're saying that if anything, this song could go further in terms of its transphobia.
That is what I said.
That would make it funnier and more quintessentially Blink and more quintessentially Sam, you wrote, which I thought was a little bit of an arrogant way to put it, but Well,
I think I'm known for my hilarious
bigotry,
transphobic humor. Yeah,
yeah, you're the Bill Maher of.
I am totally. I'm just saying, like, yeah.
No, I mean, it's weird because we've already done the guest spot, which is kind of the meat of the episode, and we've already had a whole journey with it. But I will say,
which I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, me too, because I feel safe now. We were so scared.
Oh, you'll hear it. Like in the I'm like fumbling in the guest spot, and I say it in the guest spot, but like you and I have been like I've been afraid of this song, right?
Yeah.
It's just like it's really been looming. So now that we've conquered our fears, yeah. What's your take on this? Classic Blink-182 track.
It's really funny to me in terms of the layout of the song, like the terrible reverb on everything, the awful canned applause. The guitar is like actually the guitar riff is another Blink-182 Creed crossover, I think. Because like did Creed? Okay, wait. When did Creed start? Maybe not. When did Creed actually start?
Well, I guess it depends on if you
93.
think that there was a big bang or if you believe that God created the earth.
Right.
Creed. I feel like Creed are definitely like young Earth creationists too. Like they think that the Earth has only existed for 2,000 years, like period.
Man, I got to know what denomination they are. That really stresses me out. But yeah, no, okay. So Creed had not released my Own Prison yet, but they did start in '93. So there's a chance that just Creed was in the air. But definitely some of the guitar and bass in this are very Creed sounding.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that rocks about Creed.
Yeah, it's a little Creedy. Although what I found is listening to it today, right before we started recording, is that like especially with the way that they've just drenched the vocals in reverb again in an attempt to, I think, like the obviously this is an attempt at humor, which is why Joke Season is so hilarious, and to me this sounds like sort of the first Blink song where you can tell that they like The Cure. Like where I'm like, oh, later on, when you retroactively say like, so to me, this is just like a very offside attempt at a Cure homage that then sort of just veers into kind of like ludicrous kind of joke territory right at the end. But like, there's a little bit of that coming out, like just even like because the guitars all flangy and the vocals have all that. They're so damp. They're very wet.
So maybe that's another example of the classic Blink trope of like, but instead of it being with the lyrics, it's like musically they're being very earnest, and so they get afraid of that because of toxic masculinity, and so they need to turn it into a joke.
That's how I interpreted it like today when I listened to it.
That's interesting, although I am curious if, yeah, it's weird because like the music actually, like the guitar has a little bit of, I don't know, thought put behind it. When you hear it, you can hear like, okay, they actually did write a riff. He's not just like picking a D chord. So maybe they were working on this song and they're like, oh, we got to turn this into a joke. We don't want people to think that we're like, you know.
Well, and it could be because it's got the like sort of every band has one song with the like sort of slow palm muted opening. Like it feels like it could have been the like "Does My Breath Smell" intro, but again, that's one where they've sort of undercut it with like just sort of clearly fucking around. Like it really took them like a bunch of albums to feel comfortable being like actually honest emotionally, right? In a way that was slowed down. Like they had up-tempo things that were honest emotionally, but to just be like, here it is. And so this seems like it might have come from like a session like that where you're like fucking around, you kind of have this idea that you like and the riff is good, but everything you sing over it is like, you know, they're like probably not as evolved, clearly not as evolved as like lyricists at that point. And so like, what are you singing over that? Like, I love you so much. And then you're like, no, okay, instead I'm going to sing about how like my mom wears men's clothes and beats me up and beats up my friends.
I'm trying to figure out who produced this. I should have actually taken more notes. I was too busy trying to find anything about this song, and this song is truly an actual deep cut. Yeah,
so I think like we're sort of punting some of the heavier conversation to the guest spot, but because I think, you know, you smashed that DL button on an episode called Transvestite. I think there's things that we got to like just address right off the top, which is you and I didn't know the song existed when we started this. Like this is not a song that anyone I think has like heard before outside of people who had a tape version of Buddha. Like this is not like a quiet, you know, fan favorite. This is like up there with like Untitled 7 or whatever in terms of things that you only realize are in the band's catalog when you set out on a project like this.
It is kind of like that, and then it's also the complete opposite of that in the sense that this is also
it's that, but you're also wrong.
well, it is that, but it's also like if you're trying to be a pretentious Blink fan, then this is one of the deep cuts that you'll say is your favorite Blink song, and that's
Right.
what. And so I had never thought of this. I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't really look too closely at the list when I agreed to do this project 2 minutes after you asked me.
Would you have said no
so
if you realized it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, of course. I would have been
see
like,
that this is
I
going to
would
be a
never.
problem.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you should think these things through a little bit more, Sam. No, but I never really looked at it, and then I didn't notice until one of the favorite guests of the pod, Leo Diho, mentioned that this is his favorite song by Blink-182, and I was like, what the fuck is this song? And then that was kind of when the fear set in for me, like, oh shit, we have to do a song called Transvestite one day.
Yeah, and we're I think by now I feel confident saying this. We've established that you and I are like not good at having real conversations about like gender or identity politics or like anything. I don't know what we like. You know what I mean? Like this
Yeah,
is
we're actually we are quite bad actually at having conversation. I feel like we're not real. We're only half listening to each other. Also, is the other problem.
yeah, we're just not good at talking about anything in particular because we're sort of so self-absorbed. But anytime we kind of wade into when we start talking about the misogyny in the lyrics, or we talk, like we're always like, at least I feel myself, I'm like constantly hedging because I'm just like, I very much don't want to say the wrong thing, not because, and I want to make this really clear, like not like joking aside, not because I like am so professional. Like I've said so many terrible things on this podcast that could be taken and have been taken out of context maliciously to malign my upstanding character. But this is just one of those things where I think you sense that there are people listening to these things, like as soon as like more than one person is paying attention to something you're doing, where like these sorts of conversations can be hurtful to people, you know, and I just always want to ensure that whatever sort of tiny platform I have, whether it was like when I was doing more YouTube videos or doing this, or like in any, like in the office, like in any scenario that I'm in, that I'm like not part of even accidentally like perpetuating any sort of demeaning language or, you know, just things that
Right.
that are so easy for me to gloss over because of, and jokes aside, because of like my, you know, my privilege, that this like falls so squarely into that camp where you're just like, it's not that I'm like worried that I'm going to like accidentally be offside. It's more that like I want to, and we joke so much about this, right? But I think this is like kind of the serious sort of caveat that goes on with this episode is like we want to be good allies. Like we do. We don't want to be pieces of shit. Like we are two white guys who host a podcast about Blink-182, but overall I think we don't want to be like adding to just like the sea of nonsense. We are adding to the sea of nonsense because we don't want to be part of. You know what I'm fucking saying. Everyone listening to this knows what I'm fucking saying. I'm going to stop talking.
Every time we do a potentially sketchy song, you turn into like a malfunctioning. It's so great. I love it. You just if I don't interject, it just keeps going.
Like, I know. I was like, I appreciated that you were sort of trying to let me finish my thought coherently, but like, help me, please.
And then I was like, yo, maybe I have a hard
sweating.
out on this episode actually. Yeah, no, I think you're right. And you especially see that when you look at the people who say this is their favorite song. They are literally edgelords. And yeah, we do want to be good to the people who are listening, especially people who feel marginalized in the world. Not the Gen Xers, but,
No,
you know,
yeah,
the
Gen
others.
Xers are not marginalized. So,
But yeah,
aside.
it's like, but I think we can kind of see, because again, we're doing this in a weird order. We talk about the lyrics later, and we see that perhaps they're not the word is more loaded than the song itself. However, the people who like this are maybe not. I don't know. So Leo Diho, if you go back and listen to that episode, anyone who wants to suffer through that, he likes to say very horrible things, and I had to edit that one more than ever before because he says some awful, awful things, and it's like, this is a joke that is for edgelords for some reason. And so it's like, it becomes dangerous. I don't know. But anyways, this is what I found. Somebody on Reddit, it was one of the only posts about this song. And someone on Reddit has said, is Transvestite the ultimate Blink-182 song? And
hell
the person's
yes,
username.
that's our answer. No, going back on what I said earlier.
The person's name is Blinkman69. So almost the sex number, but not
So
quite.
close, man.
And they've written, I would argue that these guys got it right on the money straight from the beginning. And it's not even widely available these days, but seriously, Transvestite is both of the guys, hysterical, but also a great song with a fantastic build. It never gets old to me, and kind of the first song I think of when I think pure Blink, as opposed to the later more polished mainstream Enema and Takeoff stuff. So like that, to say all that stuff is like so in bad faith. Like this doesn't sound anything like any Blink-182 song. Nor does it even sound good, because despite the riff being kind of good, as the song continues, they fuck up the riff and like it kind of falls apart before it gets loud again. And there are funny production things going on that I think we talk about later, but like this is not in any way a good song. Like just purely like aesthetically or performance wise.
And they knew it was a bad song. That's why it's like not on any reissues. Like it just sort of sits there as this like turd from the past. And I think you're right. It's just in such bad faith to argue this is good. Like we've had songs that we've disagreed about, or people in the nation have disagreed about, like taking a shit on a song like First Date or whatever. But like if you really think that First Date is like quintessential Blink and the best Blink, like power to you. That's like, it's a fucking pop punk song. That makes sense to me. This song is not good, and it barely even seems sort of worth emphasizing that point, because like the band agrees that it's like no effort has gone into this. This is like a throwaway kind of like junkie joke song from a couple of teenagers, and so to try to make a statement like that, you are really trying to like assert something about yourself. And to be fair, we all do that, right? Like with the movies that we say are our favorites, like we're trying to construct an identity that we think will appeal to the kinds of people that we want to impress. And so when you make this argument, all you're trying to do is like fly a flag and say like, I'm edgy and I think this is funny, which is stupid because it's not.
Yeah, because it's not funny and it's not good. But yeah, you're right. Like saying when you're asked what your favorite is, it's an opportunity to build your own identity. And so every time we answer that, we're saying something about ourselves, and that's why you have like 300 top 5 Blink-182 songs.
Yeah,
or why I tell people
I want to be all things to all people. Exactly. Yeah.
And when people ask me what my favorite Blink-182 album is, I'm so pretentious that I always say the Enema of the State demo. We're just like, everyone is performing something, but why would you perform this? That this is the, like, it's so frustrating. But then all these people reply and they basically just say that it sucks. And then he just keeps being like, no, it's so good. It's so great. And anyways, I mean, luckily we don't know this person's real name, so I don't feel too bad putting them on blast. But the thing about Reddit is that you can click on someone's name and see all of their other posts.
We should full on dox this person, actually. We'll be like, so they work here. Let's get them fired.
Maybe their real name is Blinkman69. But this is a very active poster on Reddit. And they're I mean, the most recent post is about
my God, yeah.
how Louis C.K. is fully back. Someone said, anyone know why Louis C.K. has not come back yet? And he's like, he's fully back. Not sure where you've been. It's kind of like hell yeah, one for our team. But then, this person like talks about a lot of things, a lot of various different things.
They're very active on the Howard Stern subreddit.
Yeah, and they've said to someone, I knew you would be hot when you were 5, which, I mean... we know what it's like to have something taken out of context, so maybe they're not being full on creep.
I'm gonna have a hard time judging here.
But the one that I think was really gross was like just talking about Jan Hooks from SNL and being like, I'd argue she was definitely one of the hottest cast members they ever had, spent many a night wanking to that. I just feel like going on the internet and talking about like celebs and wanking to them and stuff is just like, to me, that's like creep behavior to say that. Remember when IMDb used to have a comment section like on people? You could just like go to someone's page and people would just comment about whether or not someone was hot, or like talk about Megan Fox's fingers or something. Like, just, I remember there being so many creepy things on every page, and it's just like, what is wrong with people? I just keep these things to yourself.
I just want to make sure like I kind of like can fully kind of conjure this image. So Blinkman69, Saturday night, 11:30. He's ready. He's got his like Kleenex and his like lotions or whatever you have. And just like the minute that Jan Hooks come out as like Nancy Reagan or whoever she was doing at the time, like he's just like furiously tugging in an attempt to sort of get it done in the 3.5 to 4 minutes that he assumes he has for that sketch. Like, I assume that's what he means when he says he's like wanking all the time to.
Oh, it's so creepy. So, anyways, that's the kind of that's sort of a portrait. I mean, you've got Leo Diho and you've got this guy. They're the ones who like to say that Transvestite is the quintessential Blink song.
Yeah, that's one of those things where like you can judge people by like, you know, the company that they keep, and the company that this song keeps is not great.
It's not great. It's not the greatest. Yeah.
I hope Blinkman 69 gets like outed as like a core member of the nation or something. You know what I mean?
Right. Or it's Tom DeLonge's page account.
Right. Yeah. Hiding in plain sight. Just like, I know. Blinkman. It's taken. Haha, got it.
So another thing about this song is that I think there was a different song with these same lyrics before they decided to make it like this weird ballad or whatever.
Really?
And I don't know if this is reprinted from elsewhere, but I've sent you something from rule42.com, the self-aggrandizing website of Gavin Edwards.
I'm assuming this is somebody the thing about how like there's porn for everything on the internet, or is that the thing about how eventually in an argument someone will bring Hitler up?
Okay, first of all, I want you to look at what Gavin Edwards looks like, because he kind of looks like a CGI pageman.
Yeah, what's like the Pixar pageman?
Oh, is this the guy that co-wrote Travis's book? I think it is.
Oh,
yeah, it is the guy who co-wrote Travis. Wow. Okay, I respect that.
I've read this book from this guy.
Hell yeah! What is Rule 42? That's a good question. Thou shalt not transcribe without an imbibement.
Well, according to Urban Dictionary, it's the rule that you should bring a towel to, I guess, events. That's been upvoted by 612 people who are like, hell yeah, that's the towel rule, baby.
Well, Rule 42, according to Wikipedia, is a rule of the Gaelic Athletic Association, which in practice prohibits the playing of non-Gaelic games in GAA stadiums. So it could be a form of Gaelic gatekeeping as well. Gatekeeping.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
I'm assuming this is reprinted from somewhere else that old Gav published this.
I was also
probably
just like,
Rolling
thinking
Stone.
about how much I would hate if a podcast that I liked like spent 15 minutes like every episode for months at a time talking about Gaelic sports. And that's the person that I'm sympathizing with when I when I sort of half-heartedly apologize anyway.
Yo, this article is full of little relevant things. Like, there's a whole section about what's their favorite cereal to prove, because Gen Xers fucking love breakfast cereal. That's why I was talking about Count Chocula earlier.
They have opinions about breakfast. Like, do you have a favorite cereal?
I mean, first of all, how could you have one?
Right,
Second of all,
fine.
I don't eat that sort of thing anymore because I'm trying not to get diabetes, because I think I'm in prime diabetes age, and I usually eat 3/4 of the box.
That sort of like feels like boomer attitude where you're like, oh, can't have cereal anymore. Jan's got me on like, these new lunch packets.
Grape nuts.
Yeah.
No, I'm just like trying not to feel nauseous or have diarrhea all day every day anymore. It's like I'm only like about 3 years into this mentality, and it's interesting. It's an interesting way to live.
We had a friend who like never drank water because he thought it tasted boring, and like exclusively drank Coca-Cola and similar products. And there was a period, I think things have changed now, like he's a little older, but for sure through our 20s, at least the story went, and this is like according to him, that he had not like shat solid in like a decade. Like it was just
Of course.
But doctors had checked him out and been like, you're kind of fine, which is always what happens.
I mean, I used to fuck with Golden Grahams and Captain Crunch, the classic.
Yeah, they're all good. All cereals are good.
Fruit Loops. I mean, a lot of the classics, I'm sure, and this is one of those things that people do love to have performative opinions about. It's like that whole, like, a hot dog is a sandwich kind of thing. Like, someone's going to yell at me because I said I like Fruit Loops. But I do, so calm down.
Yeah, they're good. It's sugar. It's crunchy sugar. There's no bad cereal.
There was that kind of cereal they used to have that was like Rice Krispies, but with Rice Krispie squares broken up into it. That was fucking sick.
Well, they feed that shit to children.
I know, it's so crazy.
But
I
yeah,
like it all. Yeah, I like all sugar cereal. I just kind of love to eat really bad things, and so that's why I try really hard not to.
Yeah, I just
kinda
love
like-
to eat. So as long as if I got food in front of me, I'm good.
Yeah, although you don't like sweets, right? Or is it? Yeah, you don't like chocolate. I remember.
Chocolate, no.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Such a weird thing to
And
say.
you just like really trying to avoid talking about whatever fucked up thing is in this article.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. No, okay, it's because I keep getting distracted because also, as I was skipping around, it says, I wonder what year this is from. It says, DeLong is the only member of the band to have an occasional beer. I used to drink, says Hoppus, but it got boring. And on tour, you wake up, you feel like shit, and you've got to travel. But I'm not straight edge. I have no problem with what other people put in their bodies. Well, first of all, I don't know if that's entirely the definition of straight edge. Is that? Well, maybe it is. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely you should have a sense of superiority,
Yeah,
which is
that's what he's describing.
a driving force.
That's also not true though, because I feel like recently we watched a video. Recently, in the last 7 years of our life, we watched a video, or maybe I watched a video, like because when I was still pretending to do research for episodes, that was like Mark's pre-show rituals. Like here's the vocal warm-up that I do, and I pour myself he literally pours himself like a fucking 8-shot like gin and Coke or something. Kind of weird.
Really? I mean, I think on his Instagram he posted. We've talked about this before, but he posted like the most unrelatable. Like he was on vacation. He had like a goblet of absinthe or something. It was just like some insane Illuminati shit. So maybe I don't know. Maybe he just like that's why. If you're not now, then you never were. Sort of vibe.
Yeah.
It's like you're not straight edge. You're fucking fence walker. So no, you're not down. But either way, the word straight edge does appear in here. But what I'm trying to get to, I keep getting distracted, is that here's what it says. DeLong specialized in finding ways to agitate his father, although he also incurred his mother's wrath in junior high school when she heard he had been performing one of his early pop-punk compositions for his friends, My Mom's a Transvestite. The song had a harder guitar riff than he had attempted previously, which meant, of course, that My Mom's a Transvestite was the work of a more mature artist. I knew exactly how I had to work in school, says DeLong, as long as I got that C. Okay, I thought he was talking about chords after. But anyways,
Right.
I'm thinking if maybe the guitar is a little bit harder to play. I was thinking that they were describing a version of the song that was like
Heavier.
harder.
Yeah.
But anyway, so according to this article, Tom's mom heard it and got upset. I've also seen rumors online that Mark's sister, Ann Hoppus, who's also Blink-182's biographer for one of their books, I forget what it's called, like Dudu Kaka Blink-182 book or whatever.
No, that's exclusive, I think.
Right, that's going to be the name of my book, most likely. But apparently Ann Hoppus overheard Mark singing it, and then Mark's mom got mad about it. So there is this sort of legend that one of their moms heard the song and got mad that they had written a song about their mom being a transvestite. And we can learn here that an early title of the song was My Mom's a Transvestite.
That's a
Which also
great
is kind of...
reportage.
Thank you. It's also kind of... I mean, as we're going to get to in a few minutes here, it's kind of better in a way for it to be My Mom's a Transvestite in the full title, because then you're getting a whole narrative and you're not just only seeing what could be construed as a slur.
Yeah, I think like just the word, you're like, what is this? Whereas there, you're like, I don't know. It's about sort of exploring the complicated nature of family with that modifier. I would have been, I think,
Exactly.
less afraid of it if that was the title.
Yeah, it's true. And even I'm seeing on Genius, someone has commented classic on the song. Like, I just don't understand in what scenario you could, even if you didn't know anything about like social politics or Blink-182 or comedy or life, how could you see this in a vacuum and be like, oh, that's classic, man?
That's good. Yeah.
Like,
I get it, but I think it's just people who like misconstrue edginess for humor, which is like
people who like huff glue in the back of remedial math class.
Yeah.
This is their kind of humor.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess.
This is for sure remedial glue humor.
Joke season is really rough, isn't it?
It is. I feel to bring it back to sports. I feel like I saw a lot of those guys out at the Raptors parade. Like there was like you don't see. I don't know how to put this. I feel like just generally like right in downtown Toronto, you don't see a lot of like full on white trash. And I think it was like there was like a lot of people who and I'm copying a description from someone else here, but I'm going to leave them out unless they don't want to be attached to it. But like people who like look like they hadn't been out of their basement in years. Like it was just like white guys
Like
with,
me, you're saying.
yeah, but like you, but like with one neck tattoo and like a dog that had like huge nipples, you know, like that would be like the whole vibe. And then at some point I saw a photo of somebody who had taken a photo of someone who clearly had one of the like house arrest things on their
Oh, yeah, I
ankle, but
saw
had made
that.
it out to the parade, and I was like, that did not surprise me because I feel like I saw 100 dudes that looked like that. It was great. Like there was
I
a
think
lot
that-
of like glue boys in the scene yesterday.
I feel very blessed and lucky, truthfully, to have been able to talk to some like really cool comedy people lately on the pod. And it's making me feel like there's so much to learn and so much that I don't know, and just kind of like I genuinely do respect so many people who work in comedy, but I also think that like really what it is that there needs to be some form of elitism to make comedy good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the problem with SNL lately is that like they're trying to reach everyone all the time, and so they just make like Hillary Clinton sing "Don't Stop Believing" or whatever, and then that goes viral, but like it's not funny or good.
She's saying
And so I think-
hallelujah, and she's saying the week that Leonard Cohen died.
No, I
and
know,
then she
it's
lost
true.
the election. It was so much. Like I get that you were joking, but I just want us all to sort of sit in that remember that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, and again, like situationally now, that is probably the funniest thing that's ever happened on
And,
SNL.
like, if SNL did a skit about a show like SNL doing that fucking sketch,
It would be a return to form maybe,
Yeah,
or
maybe.
better than ever. But you know,
God.
so then maybe that's just it. Is that like I genuinely do respect comedy probably too much, and I look up to comedians, and I truly respect it as an art form, and so maybe
I feel
that's
like
why
the thing that
I.
people say. My problem is I just respect women too much. Like, I feel like you never hear someone say their problem is too much respect unless that's absolutely not their problem.
Right. Well, I guess I just mean that it's hard for me to enjoy most things because I want it to be so much better, and I love good jokes so much
Well,
it has created a problem where like something like this, I guess, is by a broader definition what is considered funny, because you do see people all over the internet saying, yeah, this is hilarious and classic. So maybe I'm just like I've paid too much attention to the nitty-gritty of jokes that I like can't go back.
It's interesting. I mean, I was seeing a few takes, and I feel like there, like maybe Hollywood Reporter wrote something about this this week, because you've had all these like this summer every blockbuster is flopping right now, and a few of those are comedies. And what they were exploring was this idea that like is comedy dead as like a film genre, which like I think is really interesting because this idea of like sort of big tent comedy, like things like say like Men in Black, the new Men in Black is a total fucking dud. And it's really hard to be all things to all people. You end up being SNL, which is like kind of subsequently nothing to no one except like Gen Xers, I guess, who think that like it's very sad when Leonard Cohen and Hillary Clinton both die in the same week. And so But so comedy is like flourishing in these other niches where people can actually gatekeep and can afford to sort of make jokes that are actually funny. But this just doesn't feel like broad. I just think this is Reddit humor. Like this is the sort of thing that like, or, I don't know, like just like, you know, sad urchins that spend too much time like on the internet watching Fortnite videos. Think it's
when I was
funny. I don't
talking.
know.
When I accidentally said that "What's My Age Again" was a limerick, I meant that it felt like a limerick. Of course, John Levinstein schooled me on that, but like these jokes remind me that like I guess somebody somewhere does have to think up the things that are written on bathroom walls. Like those things don't just exist out of nowhere. There's a human being that thinks I'm going to write this like gross limerick about farting on a dick or whatever in a bathroom stall, and then that's like there are people out there who think that that's actually funny. And those people are in the band Blink-182.
Yeah, or maybe not. Like, this is when you're 18, you're just unevolved as a person. That's why I feel like it's this version of Joke Season has been funny because we've been hammering on these songs that are like not meant to have. Like, we have for sure spent more time talking about Transvestite than Blink-182 spent writing it and maybe recording it.
I know, but still, there are people out there who say that it's classic Blink, and those people need to be shamed.
Yeah, no, and I feel that it is absolutely our duty to do that, and we are performing, which is important.
I mean, I'm also just trying to fill the minutes here because there's really not much.
Again, we don't have there isn't a quota here. You don't get paid by the minute, man. So you're not Dickens. You're not
That's true.
You're not like fucking Dick Joke Dickens.
I don't
here.
even get paid unless I figure out my email situation.
It's true. You are just living on the edge here financially. But it is like, and I always found this, especially when I was like kind of really trying to do YouTube, is that like you see channels that do well, right? So if you're like trying to sort of not necessarily mimic, but you obviously like understand the environment in which you're creating this thing, and you're like, okay, well, what do people like? And you watch it, like, this is objectively bad. Like every part of me knows that this isn't funny, and people think it's hilarious, and they share it, and they love it, and this person is successful, right? And I do feel like the benefit of it, at least, is it's like truly sort of like uninventive bad shit like this. I don't know this is like mainstream funny shit. I think this is like bad internet funny that never really pops. Like bad mainstream funny is Big Bang Theory, which is like not funny but is benign, right?
Right. Did you see that this was while we were taking a little hiatus from recording, but there was that CTV
oh god, yeah,
graphic that came out, and it was like, let me see if I can find it. It's so funny. So it's like the top Canadian
top 50 television episodes, like airings, like whatever TV events in Canada over the course of the year. And CTV is one of our main broadcasters. And they had their upfronts recently, and they were sort of displaying this. Here's what we got coming up, and here's how the last year went.
Like, why would you make this chart?
You know what's fucked up? That went viral, but they've done that every year, and that chart has not changed.
So this is the top 50 airings on CTV, like you said, one of Canada's top broadcasters. And number 1 is The Big Bang Theory. Number 2 is the Academy Awards. Number 3 is the Super Bowl. And then number 4 through 25 is all of The Big Bang Theory. And then number 26 is Young Sheldon. And then basically for the rest of the 50, it flip-flops between Young Sheldon and The Big Bang Theory, with the occasional The Good Doctor thrown in. Like, just change the metric if this is going to happen.
Well, no, but then there was a subsequent slide that they show where they're like, and here's what it looks like without The Big Bang Theory, and it's just all Young Sheldon. Like, it's like, I feel like you should remove all shows in the Bing Bong universe, you know?
I do. I mean, that. Having said all that, I do really want to, like, one day just kind of take a sabbatical from my life as it is now, go out to the forest, and just, like, spend a year convincing myself that The Big Bang Theory is good.
You'll do it. You'll absolutely do it.
I've done it with, like, I've mastered the ability to do that with music, obviously. And so I think it's time to really level up and, like, get into that show.
I feel like if anyone can do it, Josiah, it's you. I think by the end of this podcast, you'll be like, Sheldon's just a very quirky character, and I relate.
I feel like now that Morgan Spurlock has been canceled, I could become that guy who, like, does, but culture. I do, like, sort of fast food, Super Size Me, but with culture, and just, like, consume things and make shitty documentaries about it and turn my mustache into a handlebar mustache, you know?
Right. That's a really interesting idea, just doing stunt docs where you're like, I'm going to decide to like The Big Bang Theory. I'm going to become best friends with Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons.
The best part is whenever I do stuff like that, everyone just seems disgusted by me and, like, not interested in the details of it. Just, like, they just abhor what I'm doing but have nothing else to add and don't want to take anything from it.
It feels like a clickhole article, like, incredible. This man, you know, think of like great works of sort of investigative, sort of immersion journalism, like Black Like Me, you know, and you're just doing Sheldon like me. Like, it does not feel like Brave, this journalist, immersed themselves in the Big Bang universe.
But I'm not trying to be brave or profound. I'm just trying to be annoying. So
Right.
I think I'm succeeding. I think I am succeeding.
You do. What I love is that you are succeeding not just on the internet and like for the audience that you have, but also in your own home with your wife, who seemingly cannot stand you very, very often. Actually,
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh man,
not so crazy.
Yeah. Well, agree to disagree. I mean, I think I'm quite lovable in all of my myriad ways.
Well, you have
So
to.
here's something that happened to me. I've never had this happen. I was digging so deep to try to find any Blink-182 transvestite content that I found something on Dailymotion, but it's tagged as explicit content, and I can't view it.
Ooh.
Like, does this load on your computer?
No. Do I have to like make a?
Well, I tried. I logged in
or
with
something.
I logged in with my Gmail. And it didn't work, and now I'm assuming that it's just going to add to the pile of emails. Just really, I'm having a real computer crisis over here in general with emails and whatnot. I tried logging in, and I can't view this. So I'm thinking, like, does Dailymotion censor this just based on the lyrics, or was this video, like, super nasty?
I mean, we'll never. So maybe you can like post this link and see if anyone in the nation, like, come Friday, of course, the holiday I'm referring to that's coming up, come Friday. But on Friday, if people could maybe, like, I don't know, figure out how to put an age in on their Dailymotion account and let us know just how like pervy this Blink-182 transvestite video is, that would be sick.
Yeah, I'd love to know if someone made a thing. I've also noticed whenever I search anything on Dailymotion to do with Blink-182, the related videos are always like, I don't know if you see this one underneath, but it's always like the weird, like, horny but like for clean websites kind of content. Like, there's a video called Bianca Santos Le Photo Shoot Sexy.
Yeah, I knew what you meant, but I thought you meant like you personally were horny for clean websites. Like, you're like, nothing makes me hornier than good web design. Ooh, infinite scroll.
No. I mean, I need that infinite scroll. But I feel like Dailymotion is like, Dailymotion has like not safe for work videos for like uncles, or for like
Right.
for like those guys that you see people screen cap them who say like nice bobbies on Facebook. You know, like Facebook pervs.
Yeah. It's for Bobby pervs.
Yeah, for people who like bobbies.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one didn't load, but there are actually 2 covers that I found. So
okay,
if you're into that sort of thing, I don't know.
Do I have a choice?
This is such a short episode. The good thing the guest spot is long.
The guest spot is great.
Supposed to do.
You know, listen, I think like we've had some like very epic eps in the last little while. I think it's fine to just hit people with what will, be just under
be
2 hours.
hours.
Yeah. I think everyone's going to be okay, man. Like, I don't...
Just use that time to talk to your family or write me an email that will add to my pile.
Yeah, make Josiah your family with that extra hour. Like, I don't think 3 hours has to be the standard, you know?
It's true. I know. I mean,
I don't know that you know.
It's hard to know what people really... I've thought before, like, should we do, like, what magazines do where we do, like, a reader survey and figure out what people like and what they actually hate and are too afraid to tell us? Because imagine, like, hating Blink-155. You're not going to want to tweet at us because that's going to turn into, like...
you're going to get flamed, yeah. No one can criticize us. We're totally invincible now.
It's pretty sick, actually.
Except for me, actually. Like, no one can criticize the pod, but I am evidently a soft target these days.
We wouldn't have it any other way, my friend. This is uploaded by PunkFan23. It was published on September 23rd, 2007. That is so long ago. And it even says they made this years ago. So this is from, like, Lord knows when. This might be from the 70s, for all we know.
It could be, yeah. Time-traveling Blink-182 transvestite fan.
And it seems to be that the artist is called Super Squirrel because there's some very interestingly shitty art on this video.
I do really like the art, and I like the colors. You know, you were joking about Oakland. This is basically the Oakland Athletics color scheme. You know, that orange and or yellow and green colors, man.
Let's just talk about colors for a while.
Oh, so sick. I like them together and I like them apart.
This weird image is also the avatar for the Punk Fan 23 account. So really, they're going all in on this cover.
Right. This is their identity. I get that.
Yeah, and this is a very sincere cover. Like, they've even copied the crowd noises.
This is their only upload also.
Very Creed.
Yeah.
She's not a woman anymore. Dresses like
It really sounds like some like early Sebado or Modest Mouse as well.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like the original one does too.
You change the lyrics and it like sits in a world that we like.
Yeah, like if the lyrics were different, I probably would have been that pretentious guy who said it was my favorite Blink-182 song.
Yeah.
Also, on the original, they kind of sing out of tune, and on this one, this person is singing in tune, and it sounds quite good.
I'm honestly like, wait, do I? I mean, I do not like the song. However, maybe I like the song. You know?
I think they even do the part where what do they sing in the end, like the loud part? Yeah. It's also like if this was done years ago and uploaded in 2007, so let's say it was from like 2005, quite a good recording actually.
Kind of, yeah. Also, you know what we didn't talk about really is like the end of the song, like once you can like truly sort of shed your discomfort over like where the lyrics are headed is I think kind of sick. Like the sort of just goofy singing over the top, like it sort of just sounds like the hoo hoo woo hoo hoo to me. I know it's not that, but it feels like it's referencing that. And
that annoys me. I actually
really like that part a lot. I think it's like a fun hook.
You know when people used to do that, this makes me so angry even to think of. But you know when people go like ooh ooh, is that like a disco call or something? Like it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, where you go ooh, like in Firewater Burn, like ooh ooh, throw your hands in the air like that.
Yeah. People used to always do that at like church during I forget what song. I think it was during a Delirious song or something. And,
I'm so happy you managed to bring
like
a church experience into this
and
episode.
do that. They would do that sound and do like that sort of rowing dance move, you know, where you pretend you're like rowing a boat while you like with your two hands in front of you. I don't know how to explain it any other way. But they'd be like,
church dance? Are you talking about?
It's a normal dance that people used to do where they put their like fists in front of them and move them around like they're sort of like they're rowing a boat or something. But anyways, people used to do that sound and that movement at church, and it was like so infuriating to me for some reason. I always just wanted to fucking smack these people for doing this, and so I've always been really averse to that. Any sort of falsetto ooh sound just really triggers me in a bad way. So it's me more than it's them, but I don't know if I can handle that ooh sound at the end.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry to hear because I think it's quite good.
It's because you've never been to church in the
yeah,
the
that's
late
true.
90s.
I'm not carrying that trauma with me.
All right, so thankfully, I was thinking, you know, this is like, puns aside, this is quite a transgressive song. I was thinking, surely there will be tons of weirdos on Bandcamp who have covered the song and done some sort of twisted, fucked up, evil-sounding version. And there's actually only one. I only found one.
Oh.
So, I mean, at least I found one, but there is not as many as I expected. I thought this would be like a shit poster's dream.
If you are a shit poster, this is a white space for you to move into. Clearly, this is exciting.
But then
exciting
again,
new ground.
I've also kind of been learning that like a lot of shit posters, at least in this area, are mostly woke in a good way. So perhaps they just didn't want to touch this one because they're just like, I can't be bothered. This is not the shit I want to post as a shit poster.
Right.
But Finn's Boyo from Columbus, Ohio, did choose to shitpost this. I mean, maybe it's not fully a shitpost, but I mean, look at the aesthetics here. You've got some like really bad Photoshop aesthetic. some reverse colors and some weird indentation.
Yeah, it's
pretty
sick.
online looking.
Yeah.
So here's what they've done with the song. I fucking love it.
That
so
was
much.
fucking great.
Damn it.
Shit.
Oh,
All right.
fantastic.
Well, so Josiah, I mean, we got a whole for people who feel like we didn't tackle, I think some of the trickier elements of the song. I want to be very clear. The next 40 minutes, I think, are very important and quite edifying. But just for now, Josiah, what are your sort of mid-episode thoughts on the song "Transvestite" by the band Blink-182?
Love it. Great lyrics, great song, solid tune. Love it.
Cool.
What about you?
Bad song, bad lyrics.
I shouldn't have asked you. You're gonna start malfunctioning again.
No, the one thing that I do want to say is that we veered away from it very quickly, but we did not get enough of an opportunity to celebrate the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And this truly, it's one of those things where this word is loaded and should be retired. And every time I even knowing that we were coming home to do it, I've just had the entirety of Sweet Transvestite stuck in my fucking head now for days, knowing this was coming up. I'm disappointed but not surprised to hear that you've. It almost seems like one of those things that you would like, Josiah, and I know I'm going to regret.
You know
saying
what?
that.
I actually almost went. When I
Yeah,
was
it's
in
just
Atlanta earlier this year, there was a midnight screening in Atlanta, and we almost went, and then we were just like, I don't feel like going to a movie at midnight. I'm gonna fall asleep.
It's a little too long, but it's sexy and campy, and the music is fucking great. And of course, Tim Curry as Frankenfurter is an iconic performance, and so that to me is at least sort of cemented this word. And then later on, when Fox did one of their musicals live thing, Laverne Cox performed as Frankenfurter, and she was sort of vocal, I think, about sort of addressing some of the sort of discomfort that I think some people in the LGBTQ2 community kind of had with her sort of being in that role and sort of using that word, and I think she addressed that really effectively. And so I just want to say, if you want to talk about Rocky Horror and you want to talk about Tim Curry with me, I will make sure that I spend some time on Twitter on Friday so I can find someone to engage with on it, and that is my final thought.
I just don't think I'm open-minded enough for a character named Frankenfurter. All right, we've got a very special guest spot. We got both Sammy and Joe's in the interview chair.
That's how you know that it's
roast.
serious.
Yeah, I was trying to think of maybe we're Ron Burgundy and what's her name? I just watched Anchorman on TV the other day.
Are you guys sitting in the same chair?
Sam is on my lap right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's our usual setup.
that's the way.
We couldn't afford two mics, so every week we either fly to Toronto or Calgary, and Sam sits in my lap. There are two chairs, but I just, it's better for the banter, I think.
Well, otherwise, if I had my own chair, I wouldn't reach the mic because I am so significantly smaller than you.
Exactly. We're really I'd like to see some DeviantArt giant and miniature manips of us in the future, if possible.
Not a whole lot of DeviantArts in the nation, eh?
Yeah, not really. And you just said A, which is amazing.
No, I do that. I don't know why. I think it might be more Pacific Northwest than some people think, but yeah, a lot of my friends do it too.
Amazing. Okay, well, we haven't even introduced you yet. Welcome to Blink 155, our friend, Será Louise.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
I'm like kind of nervous about this one. I feel like we're talking to a celebrity because you interacted so much on the internet. I'm like, this is wild. Like, when you kind of know someone in a
Well, the thing I'm feeling
sort of
is like,
medium.
you guys don't know this yet because we're recording in advance, but I've just announced the Free Punk Lyrics compilation. It's ready.
Yeah.
It's all ready for people to pre-order or whatever. And Sarah is like absolutely the MVP of the comp. Like, you're on how many songs? Like 4 or 5, and they're all so good and so different.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That means a lot.
It's wild.
This is weird as shit for me. Like, I'm talking to the podcast.
You're in the television.
It's like the Watch My Age Again video.
Are you the kind of person? So yeah, you've been listening to the pod forever. Are you the kind of person that like listens to it and gets really frustrated by things we say when we get things wrong, or say like the wrong fact, or say something so dumb, and you just wish that you could confront us about? Because now you can.
I mean, sometimes, yeah, for sure. Like, I definitely have takes, and then that's why I used to do those threads. Because I would just sit here and be like, I want to say that, but I know he's forgotten about it.
It's true.
I remember everything that happens on the pod. When I pretend that I don't know what's going on, it's actually just a bit to try to deflect criticism.
Sam thinks that the pod is still like a sincere, tight 45-minute dissection of the music.
Just like, let me live in my delusion. It provides me great comfort.
You make a Sam edit and then send it to him to clear, and then upload the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. So also, in addition to that, you ran a shit ton of accounts. The most, I think, important and great was 155 Genders, because if anything, look, we're amazing music journalists. We're fantastic cultural critics, and we say the smartest shit all the time.
The smartest shit.
But we are extremely cluelessly cis, I think. And so
we're dumb.
155 Genders really stepped in to fill in some gaps that we were brutally fumbling.
It's really funny. It doesn't actually have, like, I made that account with the intention of it being like a regular thing, but it doesn't actually come up as much as I thought it would. So I just kind of sitting around.
Probably because you made the account.
I think that has a lot to do with it. No, I think this is something we have discussed in previous episodes, and it's an important context for you being on the pod now and this conversation, is that like that account was so and is so emblematic of like what I cherish about the discourse that has kind of emerged around the pod, because I do think it was a valuable tool for Josiah and I, being tools to sort of lightly correct, or just sort of inform us as to these like massive sort of gaps in our otherwise genius brains,
Right.
Genius being used in the terms of the lyrics website, of course.
Of course, yeah, right. Referring to our genius.com brains.
But anyways, I was going to say, so 155 Genders, I just saw you tweeting, I think today or yesterday. It's all a blur of just constantly refreshing new tweets, but you've been banned.
What?
I am being en masse locked out of all of my alt accounts. So I'll give the quick version of the story because it's pretty dumb. But I run a shit posting Bandcamp and Twitter account called Absolute Trash Media, and one of our contributors, as a joke, tweeted a threatening message to someone, to another friend of ours.
That classic joke.
Yeah, it was like, I'm going to burn your house down or something. Unsurprisingly.
RuneScape.
Yeah,
felon.
exactly. I actually did used to play RuneScape a lot, so.
Ooh.
I still do. You can get it on your phone now. I think you should get into it.
I'm scared. I don't need any more hobbies right now.
Yeah,
No,
just
cool.
You don't need any. You got to focus on the pod when you're on your phone, man. That's your job.
But so that account got permabanned. So that one's like dead in the fucking water. And then I tried to I switch my accounts quite often. I have them all logged in on my phone, and I'm always jumping between them, mostly to make the news notifications go away. And as soon as I started doing that, they started saying we detected suspicious activity on your account and you need to verify with a phone number. And, like most people, I only have one phone number. So this whole time I've been setting up these accounts by taking my phone number off the last one I set up and then reusing it. Guess you can't do that anymore. And so they've been locking me out of all my accounts. So I talked to Danny, MXPX memes, and he uses like the Google Voice numbers, I guess, which you can register with. So I'm gonna be acquiring a few dozen Google Voice to get all those back online.
This is see, I feel like I'm wasting a lot of time online, and then I hear these sorts of anecdotes, and I'm just like, I love that there's not only is this a known issue among people who have Blink-155 fan accounts, but there's like someone who's already been through what you've gone through who can offer mentorship.
It's a support group. Oh, that's the next one. Is the Blink-155 Twitter account ban support group.
Will you reveal to us what your other ones were?
Yeah. Let me open it up and see which ones are still logged in. Because that's the problem is when I switch to them, I can't go back to my normal Twitter until I log out.
Oh, right.
So I run obviously gender studies, which used to be theories to any old heads out there.
Oh yeah.
Why'd you switch it?
Oh, the reason I switched it is because I was like legitimately running out of episodes to do theories about. Like I couldn't think of anything. Like once we got to like the 1/3 mark in the podcast, I was like, this is going to go nowhere real quick.
Right.
So,
Yes, you mean the entire podcast, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's see. I run 155 Love Sack, like the balls one.
Right.
Oh,
I
right,
love
yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
That's the better Sack account. I mean, I'll delete that out before it goes to air, but
Yeah, no, totally. I co-run the Josiah Hughes fan club with Autumn. Me and my
Is that
girlfriend.
at Hand Fans?
That's handstands.
Handstands, yes, okay. Sorry, that's way better. My apologies.
No, yeah, it's true. I also run the weed account with my girlfriend.
Yes.
Which is, avid smoker. So, I should have lit up.
oh shit,
Yeah.
you and Sam could have been blazing this whole time.
Yeah, I should have.
I'm going to put down my headphones. You don't have to. You can wait. No, I want to know all the accounts you run, and then I'm going to run off and grab my pen.
Okay. I run Dirty Blink 155, which I think I tweeted from at most 5 times, and then was like, this is like even too stupid for me.
Was Dirty 155 quite as nasty as the Neighborhoods as Female Ejaculate account? Unless
No,
is
that one's
you?
worse.
Yeah,
that one is like next level nasty.
That one,
like I don't like having it in my feed because I like look at Twitter at work. You know.
I don't even get it. Like, because hood, like clitoral hood? Like, is that the joke?
I think you're being too generous.
Maybe. But I also run Propagandy Sam, which didn't get its day.
That's a
Badly.
big. That was a sick one.
Because I wanted it to be the foil to Champagne Sammy, but Champagne Sammy never fucking took the bait. So
Well, the other thing is that Champagne Sammy is just so truthful
Right.
to real life
I mean,
that
it is hard to
barely
compete with Sam's actual Twitter account. So
just like in real life, the Propagandy Sammy has been defeated by Champagne Sammy.
yeah, for sure. I had a plot thing going where he was locked in his basement and was like contacting the world with discarded Galaxy phones.
Oh my god.
I also run Blink 155 is Just Fine, which I think was the second. No, that was the first one I made, actually.
Oh, okay, I remember that. Yeah, because that was like first wave for sure.
That was like right around when Danny was beginning the Sucks and Rocks, and I was just like, I need to like get in the middle before he does. Like, I need to be that like fucking annoying. I knew it was. I didn't know who it was, but I knew for sure it was the same person.
Right.
Like, I mean, they are actually different people, of course, but
Oh god.
I don't want to.
I'm getting PTSD.
I don't want to mess with the lore.
So if somehow you're a casual listener and you've made it this far, there's a bit of an explainer on Patreon, patreon.com/Blink155.
Oh, yeah.
When they first came out, we sort of talked about what all of the alt accounts were, but there are so many now.
I can't keep track. Like,
it's impossible.
Yeah, that episode is hopelessly outdated.
Me and Danny had this idea that we were going to make a spreadsheet of all the new ones, and then we were going to record like our own pod and like release it on YouTube or something about it, or like give it to you to put on Patreon. But like in the week we were trying to compile that list, it like doubled, and I was just like, I can't fucking do this. You people are crazy, and I have like 7 of them. So like.
It's absurd.
I sometimes have to be alerted to them by like other people in my life, like because I'm like not constantly on Twitter. And so, a couple of nights ago, Ashley was like, "Oh, there's a new account about whether or not I'm in the kitchen on any given episode." Like she's bringing these to me now.
Yeah, it's out of control. And there's been a few times when I've been searching to see, like, because obviously I'm a fucking fiend for the attention, so I'll search to see if anyone's talking about the pod, and then I'll find ones that I've never seen before that clearly the person started it and then gave up on it, without even ever tweeting. It's so
those
good.
are my favorite. Like I like the ones that don't even get a profile picture.
Yeah.
Totally. One Blink-155 fan account never used.
It's called like Blink-155 poems or something, but it's just like it still says my first tweet at the top. It's so good.
So good.
Okay, so we have you here for a very special one because we're going to use your gender studies abilities to make us seem smarter. And that's truly the goal here.
I've decided, like, you are totally allowed to tokenize me here.
Thank God.
That's what I'm here for. That's my niche in this fandom, and that's what I'm here for. Even though there are like 10 fucking other queer people, I'm the one, and everyone else back the fuck off.
Right.
Yeah, you've got the megaphone. You now speak for everybody. This is official, right?
Yeah, and I mean, even with that, I mean, if we get it, I hope we don't get into too heady of theories, because even last week I just said the word tanky, and then 3 different accounts of different strains of
Jesus.
Marxism popped up. And they
I had to like block those because it was starting to like get too much into like real world like politics I don't want to be involved in.
It's insane. So hopefully, well, I mean,
Sorry, just the idea that the account situation has gotten so out of hand that you're blocking individual accounts where you're like, I don't want these tanky accounts. This is too much. It's like, that's a sign that we're through the looking glass so many times over.
So many times over, and yet I still feel we could be monetizing it a little bit more.
How do you monetize like people making Twitter accounts about you? You gotta do like a Fine Bros and try and lease the idea of like making Twitter accounts so they have to pay you.
Yeah, there it is. That's it. I mean, just like 10 cents an account or something, we'll be rich in no time.
Yeah. Okay, so this fucking song.
Yeah, thank you, by the way, for letting us tokenize you. And I mean, that's really all we've ever wanted, is to just tokenize our guests. So thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way,
the reason for starting the podcast.
I was worried that, because I even said to you earlier, Sarah, we've barely listened to it. We don't really know what's going on. And you're like, oh, I've been making notes and I've listened to it 1,000,000 times. So really, we're just kind of.
I said I listened to it 4 times.
That's 1,000,000.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of times. Yeah. But I'm just saying, I'm excited. I'm excited to go into the passenger seat here.
I wish I hadn't, because this thing is like Joke Season 2 is worse than Joke Season 1.
The sequel is never as good.
Never good.
Yeah.
But maybe it's better because it's worse. Maybe that's the goal. But so this song it's pretty bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. This is one that I avoided for a very long time, because I was just like, I was aware that it existed. I saw it on the list the first time I ever read the list when this whole thing started. And I was just like, that one's not going to be fun.
Well, the title's a pretty big red flag.
I was just like, oh no, And
yeah.
It's not good. It is like, it did make me laugh, but not because of any of the jokes in it, just because, when they go dur, dur, dur at the end, I was just like, holy shit.
I just want to say my red flag was when Leo Diho said it was his favorite song.
Fucking really? I didn't listen to that episode.
Don't listen to it. He did. He said this is his favorite Blink-182 song. What a troll.
It's not even a good song, man. Like, there are problematic Blink songs that are way better than this.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, that's what I want to know is like, how problematic is this song?
It's so my main hangup was obviously the title. I didn't know the exact history of that word of transvestite. I'll say it because I found out it's not as bad as I thought it was. In my research, I realized that it's actually a term coined by sort of old world queer people. So I assumed it was like most like most slurs, created by the norm to demonize and belittle, anyone who falls outside of it. But it was created by this like queer dude, this German queer dude. So shout out Leo Diho.
Maybe that's why he likes it for the.
Oh, you know what? That's probably it.
He's just really into
like,
queer
It's
theory.
history.
Yeah. But yeah, this German dude named Magnus Hirschfeld, and he came up with the word because he was just friends with a lot of people who were sexually ambiguous, and he was apparently the first person to ever perform a gender reassignment surgery, which is badass.
Wow.
Or at least recorded. So it's not the worst word in the world. It, I guess, mostly defines more like cross-dresser than transgender people, which is like a very odd like distinction, and there's a lot of cross-pollination between those two things, because for a long time that was the only like way that people who felt this way were allowed to sort of be in a public setting and not be like just completely mocked and ridiculed. Mm-hmm. But the song lyrics are pretty dumb. It's just about like Tom's birth parent is a crossdresser, I guess, and beats the shit out of him. And I keep saying Tom because I expect it to be a Tom song. It's both of them.
It is
like,
both of them.
Everyone is guilty here.
They are both singing about this thing. Let me pull up the lyrics right here.
I thought it was interesting, though, that you pointed out I had the same, expectation around the word, because I think at some point I was just like, oh, that's a word that you don't say, and you're like, okay, cool, that's clearly because it was probably invented by some dickhead like me at some point.
Right.
And then
it was invented by Sam Sutherland.
it was literally
Sam Sutherland
so
quotes.
guys.
I invented the word transvestite in a bad way. By quote Sam Sutherland.
God damn it, no. But that it's more to do, and I don't know if this is just like a theory that I guess like it was, on some level like co-opted, because you had people using it in all the wrong ways, and in that sense it becomes outdated because you have people who sort of haven't read enough at Blink-155 gender studies tweets to sort of understand that like there is not we were joking earlier about the monolith, like there is no sort of like monolith of sort of like gender identity or like just like even gender play or whatever those things are, that this is a word that just like is no longer kind of suitable for that. Is that like a fair assessment?
I'd say so, yeah. It's a word that has just it became a punchline like for a very long time. Like it was, especially like I love a lot of stuff from the 80s and 90s, and like I still get taken aback when I'm listening to Albuquerque by Weird Al and he says it and I'm like, holy fuck, like Weird Al is this like untouchable nice guy, and here he is like just basically using people like me as a cheap joke, Right. And not in as much as I still love Weird Al, and I don't think he's canceled for that,
No, we'll get him one day. We'll get him.
He's gonna fucking slip up. Like as soon as he decides to release his Sicko Mode parody, it's over.
What I want to say,
I was listening to White and Nerdy recently though, and I thought like, is this like on the line a little bit? Because the joke is that it's a parody of African American culture, but it's like white. I'm not sure, guys.
I mean, all the non-white kids that I was friends with in school were obsessed with that song. So,
it bangs, yeah.
It's so fucking good.
This actually is making me think of kind of an interesting thing with the etymology of the word transvestite. So you're saying the etymology of the word is fairly innocent, but through misuse, it has become an insult, and it stands in the place of, if not, it is a slur now through the way it's been used. Whereas often, if you look at the history of other words, words that are completely like acceptable now have this dark history. Even words like calling someone dumb is like hella ableist, but it's accepted now in society. Or like the word spooky, or whatever. Some have argued that has like racist history to it. So it's kind of interesting that this word started off with possibly good or neutral intentions and has evolved in a bad way, whereas other words are just like, we've said them so many times that we don't know how to not say them anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I definitely kick myself every time I call something dumb, but I can't stop.
I do the same thing.
It's awesome.
It's insane. I like calling things mental. I do that. Yeah, it's so bad.
That's so British, Sam.
But like, it's fun to be like, oh, it's mental. Like, it's great. It feels good, but it's wrong.
British Sam, new account.
It might be worse for being British than it is for being ableist.
Right, yeah. What is worse, like, yeah, being ableist or co-opting British culture?
Do you think calling something Australian is ableist?
Maybe, yeah.
Wait, is that an ableist
I
joke?
think so, yeah.
It's definitely very insulting to Australian people. Which I'm for, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fuck them.
But
yeah, so that's interesting to hear that. And then, yeah, I think also it makes me think of, like, what I've heard being a common punchline. Not that that's even in this song. I was expecting it to be a song about somebody tricking a date by dressing up.
Yeah, me too. I do think it's kind of funny that it is like, you know, a masculine transvestite, I guess, you know?
Right.
And it's also his fucking mom, and his mom kicks his ass too, which is that's a very Blink-182 thing to turn around to sort of do.
Yeah, she wrestles his friends. She beats him up. Like,
I like imagining. I like imagining this person in the boomer mustache and wig, just like, hey Tom,
like stone cold stunnered.
When's your pussy little friends coming over? I need to whoop ass.
And also, yeah, like, why would his mom? And again, I'm thinking of it as Tom too, even though it's both. But why would his mom need to dress up like a man to kick his ass? Like,
I don't know. Maybe she just likes that maybe she's just, you know, really empowered by the by the energy, you know, that masculine energy just overwhelms her. Or maybe, like, you know, maybe she is just a trans dude so the hormones are making him like just super aggro.
Oh my god. What a bizarre.
I like this read. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that the Blink, even the most, well, actually, maybe not 13 Miles, but usually the most offensive and idiotic Blink-182 song is so poorly written that it ends up just being like, you know what? Whatever. You guys can get on with it.
I mean, there's a reason why this was like a tape. This is like a bonus song on a tape, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I always feel like sometimes with these terrible things, you're like, they knew, right? They knew that, and they didn't know that the internet was going to exist. Like, can you imagine doing something this stupid when you were like, you know, whatever, 35 or however old they were when they wrote this, and realizing that, you know, 20 years in the future, we'd be dissecting it like in multiple points across a continent.
Well, we are
an audience.
We are both going to be 35 next year, so it's not that far fetched.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm sure I won't regret any of this.
Was there anything else that stood out to you or that you had written down in your notes?
Let's see. Just that I'm glad that they didn't put it on the Kung Fu re-release of Buddha. You know, I actually, for some reason, I thought it was. I had it in my brain that this was just a song that they were content with making money off of for the rest of their lives. Also, that it sounds kind of like a Angels and Airwaves fucking. Like one of those bits where Tom just kind of plays guitar and says shit, like for 20 minutes between songs.
Right.
It's very inspirational.
Yeah. Why is it so like sopping wet with reverb?
I don't know. I also don't know if, like, is this a real live cut? I don't think so. I think it's like did a Benny and the Jets and edited crowd noise onto it because it doesn't sound right.
I think that's
Do you think it's an
exactly it.
homage to Benny and the Jets?
Maybe.
I was thinking it was an homage to what's that Paul McCartney song that has like a million parts? Is that Band on the Run or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because it feels like that with like the applause and then the way it changes at the end to be up tempo. Like they're definitely trying for grandiosity.
It's their Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh yeah, for sure. But then it's got all these like fucking flubs that make it sound like it might be live, but then like I don't know, did they have like an effects rack for their voice live? Like
no,
in these early days, like this is their third demo.
Yeah,
so,
there's no way like because the shows they were playing live at this point were like full on punk junk. I don't think they would even have been able to play this live. It sounds too complicated for them.
Yeah, exactly. They probably comped like all the takes, and still fucked it up.
Well, I was listening. I was listening
syllable by syllable.
I was listening to headphones on headphones before we started talking, and like there's like an acoustic guitar that appears at the very end too. Like I think they were like trying to like I don't know. It's some Ariel Rechtshaid shit.
I was actually like I was hoping like that at least, when I went into this song, like, oh yeah, it'd be kind of have problematic, like, implications, and be kind of insulting or demeaning or whatever. But like, really, I'm just kind of more insulted and demeaned that the song is so bad. Like, I wanted like a sick fucking pop punk song. Like, if you're gonna be transphobic, just like you better like commit and make it sound awesome,
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that is ultimately the big question. And now that we've like looked at the lyrics and understood the meaning of transvestite and what's going on in the lyrics, is like the song on its own, existing in a vacuum, is it itself transphobic?
I think a bit. It's not as bad as it could be. Like, it could be that thing you were describing with, like, a date and, like, oh, she has a penis,
Right.
I love that Smash Mouth song, Sorry About Your Penis, the bonus track from their first album.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they were just talking. Okay, so a couple weeks ago.
Do we have to disinvite Smash Mouth from the pod again?
No,
I'm sick of this.
I think you need to get them on and then get me on, and then we all hash it out.
This is good. That's a much better idea.
The thing about that song is, this is from the Orgasmo soundtrack. So a couple weeks ago, Smash Mouth was like, I can't even remember, but they did something for Pride Month. Oh, it was in response to the straight Pride parade, and they just said something like, "Man, fuck this shit, it's bullshit," and it went so viral. And I retweeted it from the pod account, and then all these people were like, like someone from The Nation, I think the wrestler Tyler, he replied and said, he said like, "Since when has Smash Mouth been woke?" And then all these, like, apparently there's tons of Smash Mouth stans out there. And they were replying with, like, tons and tons of things to the pod. So the pod was getting all these notifications about, like, all the ways that Smash Mouth has been woke over the years. And somebody tried to use this song as an example of them being woke.
Oh, my God, really?
Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, like, I listened to it, and I don't know what the fuck it's about, because it's like it's truly word salad, but like the fucking, like, just the title alone is so bad that I think it's just, you just can't say, like, it's the joke writes itself. So like having a title that evocative, like, is just like you're asking for trouble no matter how woke your song is,
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's not a woke song, but
probably not.
Can I? Okay, I'm skimming these lyrics for the first time. By the way, the version of it that I'm seeing is from the Orgasmo soundtrack.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I interpret this song now. Maybe this is charitable. No, to me this sounds like they're making fun of someone who's a tough guy, and the implication is like obviously this person feels inadequate in the
so maybe
dick
they
spot.
just have a small dick.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, but,
basically
like,
you all you want to do is fight. All you want to do, blah blah. Sorry about your dick. Like I like, so it's sort of like throwing shade at this person's dick
by body shaming them, you're saying,
By body
and that's
shaming.
It's
good.
still like bad,
Yeah.
It's, I guess maybe not as bad. But
You
it's
guys think
just like
Orgasmo is like held up as a model of progressive culture?
I've never fucking seen it. So
Me neither. The song.
Loved Orgasmo in the ninth
oh
grade.
jeez.
Oh, the next
course
song.
I did.
The next song on the soundtrack is called "Sex Law Penetration" by Atari Teenage Riot.
Oh hell
Oh.
yeah.
I mean, they're pretty sick. We should get.
Okay, so
was-
context clues, right? I feel like maybe the song is good. And the song before it is Cream.
I just feel like a song called "Sex Law Penetration," despite how much we all like Alec Empire or whatever his name is. That song gives me a bad vibe with that title.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's probably how I still feel about Sorry About Your Penis.
Yeah, fair. That's
yeah, that's
fair.
also reasonable.
It's like
So-
they should have just called it something else, or not done it.
Or maybe they
No, it
shouldn't.
doesn't have to be a song.
Or maybe there shouldn't be like a whole crew of hashtag resistance people who jump on any Smash Mouth thread to defend them for being woke.
I mean, that's for sure true. I also want to know
Are they
that
all Mayor Pete voters, too?
I think so.
I gave that song a listen, and it also is a slow, down-tempo reggae jam with lots of reverb. So,
Oh, yeah.
So it is kind of the same universe.
yeah. They were all circling around each other, and it was, I mean, it's obviously on the soundtrack, but it was also, I guess, a bonus track from the new re-release of their first album.
Aw, Smash Mouth. I can never stay mad at you, Smash Mouth.
No, of course. I mean, they're great. Like,
I was
Smash
mad
Mouth
at them for
fucking
like
rules.
2 days. Yeah, it's hard.
What?
So
So
I'm curious, like with this song though, because like I feel like this is a conversation that we had so much more at the start of the pod, and then it became like an exhausting thing to talk about, and it was also just like I felt like we were repeating ourselves a lot. But where we would be talking to people and like. Especially if we were doing a song like, I mean, Dumpweed's an obvious one, but that's like first song that we ever did, where you're like, how is it? Is it like okay to sort of still like this and look back and sort of feel like there are things that are like you don't think are kind of okay now as a like hopefully a wiser person, and it's a conversation that we had a lot with a lot of our guests, being like, does this part ever bother you? If like really dig into it. And so like, for you digging into this, is this one of those things you're like, it's kind of shitty, but like, it's fine. And then how do we sort of like, what's our window of kind of forgiveness for people being like sort of shitty, but like when you're like 18, like how do you, I don't know. Cause it's easy for me to be like, well, you're sort of shitty in 18 because like none of this stuff is an attack on like me. Right.
Right. I mean, I was also shitty in 18, so I can kind of relate. I think they kind of just lucked out because this song is bad. So there's like Dumpweed is one of the best Blink-182 songs ever written, and I still like play it when I pick up a guitar, and it always makes people go, "Whoa, you're really good at guitar,"
Hell yeah.
But so that like that song is obviously misogynistic, and it's like really hard to distance yourself from it, but it's just good. And I guess if you want to like it, you just have to. Like,
I've been listening to it so much since the anime anniversary, like, and it's been nice in Toronto. I've been listening to like not just Enema, but like Dumpweed so much, and I'm loving every second of it. I don't feel bad at all.
it's like, again, it's like a funny opposite thing where Dumpweed is an amazing song that is actually quite shitty in some of its lyrics, whereas Transvestite is a terrible song that actually the lyrics aren't as bad as any of us expected. It's so bizarre.
I gotta say my favorite part of the song is when they just like turn on the distortion and start making kazoo noises.
The
like
kazoo noises are amazing.
that was like, oh fuck yeah, dude! Like I was like, yes, this is the Blink shit.
I guess you got to think too, like, we're saying, yeah, it's good it wasn't on the reissues. It's good that this song isn't really in their repertoire now. But it's funny also to imagine a band making a demo, presumably so that they can get signed and get shows, and then putting this on there and like isn't this complete self-sabotage?
I mean, maybe. I don't think like record labels were looking for they weren't like being like, oh, is this like politically okay? Like,
right.
Can we really, like,
No, but I mean just because it sounds like garbage.
Oh yeah,
Just because it sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like maybe it's supposed to like be maybe the crowd noises are supposed to be like, hey, this is like a live act, like it's kind of like, because they were really billing themselves hard as a live sort of stand-up / punk band, you know, like stand up in the worst way, like, you know,
Yeah.
Like Yuck Yuck's Oshawa. Like this is like Mike Bullard stand up.
Mike Bullard
Like, just-
stand up.
just like piss and shit and like dumb shit. So maybe that's like the idea, or like they'd already conceptualized the sort of Cheshire Cat idea of like ending the record with joke songs, or maybe they just like were fucking around when they were making it and they needed to fill out the tape.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. That's a good call.
Since it's the last song, and I really doubt that anyone who like you basically put in this tape and you don't need to listen past Carousel to be like, okay, yeah, I can see the potential here, you know?
Yeah. I'm just looking because I see the tape came out January 1994, which is just like this sound. I don't know what year I want this to be from, but that is still too contemporary. Like this came out January 1994, and then February 1994, Dookie came out. That's the level of quality that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, you can't. Those two things can't. They can't exist in the same universe. Like if you A/B the Green Day and the Blink timeline, it's like insanity. Like
Yeah. Although Green Day like kind of fell off more drastically, I would argue.
I mean,
Unos Dos Tres, you're not a fan?
All right,
like
that's enough, Sam. Oh, and Smash also by The Offspring came out that year.
yeah.
You know, I think we've talked about this on the pod before, but it is wild to think a couple of years, or I guess at this point, several years later, but you're fairly close to Green Day doing King for a Day, which is like a delightful anthem that sort of touches on these same themes, but in like a playful and celebratory way. And then like, I don't know, this is sort of the A-B of those things also, like on a like strict thematic level is also quite striking.
I mean, let's be honest here. Like Green Day is the better band. Like, you know, at least for at the time. Like,
Is this one of those things you're going to want us to edit out later, do you think?
Yeah.
no. You know what? I'm fucking saying it. Green Day is like a little bit better than Blink-182.
There was someone in the nation who was like freaking out about how much they hate Green Day, which I also think is such a weird take to have. Like, how could you hate Green Day?
Oh, that's wild.
Like those are people who like, you know, were kids when American Idiot was getting popular, and they like hated fucking like guys in eyeliner, and they never let go of that. There's no way. Like you can not like that album. Like I totally get it. It's like, you know, fucking wanky The Who shit, but like, you know, I adore it. And
you're
but,
correct.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. I mean, I know
good.
I'm right. Like that's the thing, you know.
Here's
But I
what-
could understand hating it musically, but like there was a while where just any effeminacy in like any rock band was seen as like just the worst thing possible, you
right?
know.
Yeah, that's true.
And I feel like a lot of people like they get kind of stuck in their ways in high school and they never like reevaluate themselves. So they'll be like Green Day, that's just some emo shit, you know.
Right.
Which is,
Totally.
you know, just hearing that phrase is enough to like make me want to fucking jump off a bridge.
People are just like so stuck in their ways about what can and cannot be considered real alternative rock, and that's why there's so much hatred towards Imagine Dragons in this world.
Exactly.
But that's also why the only band I really like is Five Finger Death Punch. They're the only true rock band.
See, the problem with that is like now I want to do 15 minutes about how you definitely have gone to see them and no one can
Five
tell if
Finger
it's a
Death
joke
Punch?
or not. Yeah.
I never know.
You would go to like somewhere in Quebec and watch Five Finger Death Punch. You definitely will if you
Listen.
haven't yet.
Yeah, we're gonna save that's exclusive. My journey into the French Five Finger Death Punch fan community.
Okay, Sarah, do you have any last things you need to say about the song Transvestite by Blink-182?
Ooh, it sounds good. It's a good word. I don't know. It's Greek, I think, in origin. I thought that it was I thought that it would be one of those things where it's like purposefully sort of a designed word to sound nasty, you know?
Right.
Like, but it is just literal Greek translation of cross-dressing. So just using, you know, or I think Latin, whatever. Who cares about the fucking difference between those two things?
I believe Latin
someone
is
just got
the
angry.
language spoken in ancient Greece, correct?
I just definitely, just set off another alt account.
Yeah.
So if you need phone numbers, use Google Voice.
Okay, and then the last thing is, other than your like half dozen or whatever appearances on Free Punk Lyrics, is there anything you want to plug?
I guess go to my Bandcamp. I have a good selection of the stuff I've made on there. SerahLouise.bandcamp.com. So you can check out my fucking electronic albums, my grindcore project, my fucking shitty folk covers of songs.
Oh yeah, is that with that guitar thing? What is it called? A bazooka?
The bazooki. Yeah, it's a bazooka.
Is it the Irish thing? The Irish thing?
Yeah, it's the most page many. Like I had like a real like, I'm from Portland, so I had a real Decemberist phase, and I acquired that during sort of peak Decemberist phase, and I was just like, I mean, the real reason why I used it is because I was moving, and my really nice acoustic guitar was like packed in a bag, and that was like what I had. But I like to think that it's also on theme for everything we talk about. I also want to say that it's my girlfriend Megan's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Megan!
Happy
And,
birthday!
I totally pulled a Homer Simpson and forgot about it this morning.
Oh God!
And she was really mad at me, but we talked it out, and she said part of my punishment is that I have to tell that story on the pod and
Shame yourself publicly.
You gotta make. No, never mind. I'm not gonna say this out loud. Actually, I'll say it later. I'm not gonna say it on the pod. But well, I can say it because it's not fully my thing. But birthdays are a good thing to do for passwords, and then you'll always remember it no matter what. I have
That's a
not
good
done
idea.
that. None of my passwords are birthdays. Okay.
I can
Okay.
see why you didn't want to say that.
oh, I'm gonna get my phone and log in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, your new alt is at Blink-185 Pod.
No, my new alt is at Josiah Hughes.
Yeah. At exclaim.ca.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's all I got to say. I guess just shout out to friends in the nation.
Hell yeah.
all the queers of the fucking nation. There's like,
Man, okay, that's actually a question. Since we're in a safe space where we can tokenize you, like, shout out to all the queers in the nation. I never expected it to be like. I feel like we're so bro-y and like aggressively straight that I'm so glad that like this community has formed.
yeah, I think what it is that there is a subgroup of queer people who cannot fucking handle like typical queer activities. Like, not all of us want to be fucking into Undertale or whatever, so we have to like we have to find other things, and this is another thing.
Blink-155, it's better than Undertale.
Yeah, I'm willing to put that one on a shirt.
It has been very sick though. Could we say? And it's Pride Month, so also like happy
yeah.
Pride to all who to everybody, every
fuck.
goddamn person in the nation.
I forgot to put the flag over our logos. I'm being a terrible
you got it.
brand.
We're a corporation.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I mean, I think you're canceled now. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't do that. You have to do that, or else I don't go to your establishment anymore.
Right.
We gotta sell like rainbow Blink-155 shirts as well. Like, don't forget, like Pride is about capitalism. It's pride in capitalism. Right? I don't know a lot. I've never really read a book.
I will say this: there's no cops allowed in the nation. So
That's
Hell yeah.
definitely
That's a
true.
rule. We respect all troops, but no cops.